Okay. All right.
This is not the Bill Reed I grew up with.
All right. Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna hit the music. All right. Close the fucking door. I want my shit.
Stop making me laugh.
God, assholes. All right, let's do this. Good evening, everyone. Michael Devine, Gray Matters Radio, America's Counselor. That's right, everybody. It's another awesome installment of Gray Matters Radio. I'm your host, Michael Devine. Who else would be the fucking host? It says my name literally in the title. I would have to do something really bad to lose the hosting gig of my own show, or it'd be kind of weird for me to make a show, call it with Michael Devine, and not be them. It'd just be weird. I don't know. But anyhow, that's right. I'm Michael Devine. As always, I'm joined by the Armchair QB, Bill Reed. What's up?
Michael, I did try to attempt a hostile takeover of your show and to have you removed, but unfortunately I was voted down by the board. So, and by the board, I mean it was only one other person, and it was you. So, you're still the host by default, by a split decision.
It was a close vote, though.
It was a close vote.
Well, I do appreciate that.
No problem.
Now, of course, we got our conservative compadre, Stelzer. What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
I'm doing good,
Stelzer, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah. How'd your Reds do today, man? They do? Are they
Not
playing?
good enough. Not good enough. Thought we were going to post a comeback in the 8th inning, but didn't work out that way.
Yeah. That's always... the Mets have been really making those big comebacks lately. I mean, they've been
playing the
annihilating.
Mets, but I appreciate their efforts.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now,
We're playing the Cardinals.
Well, how funny will it be, though, how many years did it come down to a one-game playoff between the Mets and the Reds for a wild card spot? I mean, there's been too many times.
That was 99.
99.
Yeah.
When Mike D and I actually were roommates, and we were watching that, and I was like, and we lost.
Al Leiter.
And we lost.
I've never hated somebody so insignificant.
Al Leiter was a solid dude, though, man. He came on late in his career, though. I mean, came on with the Marlins.
By late in that career, do you mean that day?
That day. He was like, hey.
I always find it interesting. You have those players where it's like you never heard of them, and then the last 3 years of their career.
The one game you remember.
Yeah, you're like, who in the hell is that? I mean, it's always.
That's Al Leiter for me.
That is Al Leiter. I mean, God bless him. He didn't get us to the promised land. He got us to the doorstep.
How about screw him? How about that?
How about that?
How about that?
Well, I mean, we don't have to be rude about it.
Well, it's easy for you to say. You won. I mean,
yeah, but we didn't win. I mean, we didn't win the series at all. I mean, we kind of lost. I mean, we
kind of lost.
Yeah, we kind of lost.
It's okay.
Wasn't that the year Bobby V came out he got kicked out of the game and came back in a disguise and everything?
He came out. And he got caught again.
So here's the thing about New York sports. I mean, is that if you don't win, I mean, literally, people are going to sit there and just be like, what the fuck's wrong with you, right? Now, he's the one guy that didn't win. And if anything, he had some awful years, but he will forever, he will forever go down like he will always get a seat in a restaurant because of what he gave to that team. And it takes, apparently,
and before the Mets, he managed the Rangers, but I don't remember any wild stories that I can recall.
No.
But, again, that was when we were kids, so, maybe something in before the internet the way he got, so maybe he was doing wild stuff and you just didn't hear about it.
I don't know, Bobby V.
Because you know what? Let's be honest. If it wasn't on SportsCenter back when we were kids, we didn't hear about it. We read the paper a little bit, but the paper didn't really. SportsCenter was going to have way more. Yeah, but SportsCenter was way more detailed.
Can you imagine if that actually happened in politics? If Bill Clinton tried coming back, it's not Bill Clinton, it's Bobby Vinton. And he has different color hair and a mustache. And...
Will Clinton.
I'd like to see that baseball card.
It's prove it. This is my twin brother. You just didn't know about it.
You didn't know about
If he really was part of the deep state, they could completely create a new...
Three blue dresses, 40 RBIs.
Do you guys, kind of on that subject a little bit real quick, before we get started, do you guys feel that, obviously you can only serve 2 terms as president, and that's it. Do you think, what Russian does, and granted, Putin kind of makes his rules, but do you kind of feel like maybe they can serve 2 terms, take a term off, and then be eligible
Bill
again
talked
to
about
run?
that. Bill talked about you shouldn't be able to do 2 consecutive terms, but should you be able to come back in a time of need, basically, where you have somebody that knew how to handle a problem. Part of me almost feels as though in a perfect world, it would make sense, right? If this were 1940s and you wanted Dwight to come back, it's hey, that makes sense. Nowadays, it's I like the fact that Bill couldn't come back.
They should have almost unlimited terms. And the reason why I say that is because whether you love Donald Trump or hate Donald Trump, let's say you think, let's say America thinks he's the right man for the job. and beyond his 8 years,
They do.
the 4 years after that, you get two bozos that are running, right? And you're like, it doesn't have to be Trump. It could be any president. I mean, you're just like, come on, man. This guy's not better. I know why they do it. I know why they do it.
Yeah, I mean,
but
this is where
how can you have tyranny though when you vote on it? Though? That's
because
what I don't get.
what happens in the history of countries, like look at Putin. Putin vowed, said, hey, so what he did, so his prime minister was Dmitry Medvedev, right?
Yeah.
And so he got him elected, and they just kind of switched it around,
yeah.
right? And then Medvedev, Putin had him change the law, the constitutional law, when he was president. And then the very next election, Putin got to be president, and he won't let go of power. And you see what's happening now.
So do they not have elections in Russia?
They're all rigged. I mean, legitimately, they are rigged, and that there's a lot of dissent. And so there, it's kind of like
when Obama was this going on when Obama was president as well. I mean, did he call out Russia for their rigged elections or?
So Obama was famous for what they called So actually, you want to go back to Bush. So when Bush first met, and every president since Clinton was like, "Hey, listen, I want to do a reset with Putin." Right? Bush
when
met
Hillary
him.
The reset button.
Well, yeah. Well, Bush met him, and he goes, "I looked into his eyes. This is a man I can trust." And it was like a year later, going, "No, we can't trust him." Right?
No.
When Obama was president, him and Hillary both said we're going to do a reset. Same thing, right? Trump is trying to work with him, but I mean, I think Putin's making it very kind of difficult.
He's got the P tape on him.
I don't think it's P tape.
I'm messing with you. He doesn't have that thing would already be out by now.
But this is an interesting topic. This is a good segue, I think, into tonight's topic, right?
So, I believe it's called a golden shower, or so I've heard. I don't know anything about that personally.
Which is
weird. I put it this way.
Like a woman to do a lot of things to me. Golden shower is not one.
I like my pee to go in the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like.
Sorry.
No, this is good.
I like to do a lot of things on the lady. Pee is not one of them.
No, I think he was getting peed on. I think is what.
That's what I'm saying.
No. If we're hold on. We're going to be accurate tonight because we got to make sure we're talking about Trump or anybody, but we got to be accurate. I believe the story was they didn't pee on him. He paid them to pee on the bed Obama slept on and videotaped it.
On the bed, Obama.
Yeah, kind of
it wasn't.
Kind of like fuck your. No. It's like fuck your bed. Yeah, he hated Obama apparently so bad. Allegedly, he
Couldn't
paid
he just
prostitutes.
get Melania to do that? Melania.
I don't think
pee on the bed. It would be tremendous.
That's a new one. I hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah.
But why would? Okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
he hated him so bad. I was like, "Fuck your bed."
You know what? I don't doubt that Trump truly despises Obama because Obama, he kind of clowned Trump. Trump went on and on about the
in that goddamn
birther movement. Yeah, the Correspondents' Dinner.
That's what it was.
And you could almost see like the gears turning in Trump's
head. Everybody gets it though.
Just you wait.
Here's the way I look at it. All right, I look at it as a clinician, right? I look at confidence as something to where it's internal, it's intrinsic, right? And you see it with athletes, badass athletes. You can get heckled upon, they can do whatever. Literally, they have the ability to not let shit get to them, right? That's part of being really confident. Sure. We always say with narcissism, and every president, by the way, is a narcissist. I was first day of personality psych. Every president is a narcissist. Just because you're a narcissist doesn't mean you're pathological and crazy.
You can't be president with not wanting power.
Exactly, right?
I don't think Jimmy Carter was a narcissist.
I pretty much like to say, if you're going to have to get to power...
Habitat for Humanity, Jimmy Carter?
I think if anyone who runs for president, there's levels of... We all have levels of narcissism, right?
Oh, there might have levels, right? Okay.
But when we look at the classic Freudian narcissist, and you can get more clinical pathological, where it's your bravado and your confidence is what we call the narcissistic shell, where basically it looks really good on the outside, but with all you have to do is crack it, and it's a veneer. There's really nothing underneath it. It's there to protect what we call the putrid core. And so it's what we call narcissistic rage. So anytime anyone even gets close to seeing underneath the curtain, they lash out at them. Anytime anyone makes fun of them, they lash out at them. They use people for their own gain, and it's always about, I can make it act like it's for you, but really it's all for me. But everything is underneath it, there really isn't anything. And so I look at real true confidence is that even someone could be busting your balls, you shouldn't let it get to you. And that's something I've always looked at Trump, is that I don't think he's as confident as he lets on, because he lets too many things get to him. And as a president, I look at that, I want to have a poker face. If I'm at a poker table full of people and I get so pissed off every time I lose, I'm gonna look at that going, oh, dude, I'm gonna get you to go on tilt. I'm gonna look at that now. But here's the thing. Now, I'm sure Stelz, I look at it as, I don't think he's as confident. How do you look at it? Do you look at it as it's all shtick? Do you look at it as it's a game? It's like reverse psychology?
I think you're full of shit.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so why do you believe that? Honestly, no. I mean, because this is where, as a country...
Well, because... Who'd you vote for?
Nobody.
Okay, you didn't vote at all?
I voted for Kasich in a primary.
Not even Mickey Mouse?
I voted for Kasich in the primary.
Yeah.
I was actually Kasich.
So wait a minute. So
I didn't vote for
Ryan was
anybody.
late to the party to join the Trump train.
I was.
But you heard it here first. Captain America over here.
My old man plays golf with Kasich. I was a Kasich guy. I tried to hang on. When he started acting like a goddamn Democrat, I bailed.
So yeah, I did. So I voted for Kasich.
And now to this day, my dad still supports Kasich, and I'm like, dude, I want him. He's like, I wanted to play golf with him, recently, and my dad's like, I won't bring you with him. I'm like, well, you better not, because we're gonna walk up the fairway and I'll be like, you're a fucking moron, dude. But retarded.
I'm serious on this though, because but this is where I think
I can't trust you around it.
But this is, as a country, I think it goes so wrong, because instead of actually going, well, help me understand that, because as a therapist, I can have people in my office that I disagree with, and so I'm curious, like. So if I look at it like when he's so reactive, like on Twitter and things like that, how do you view it? Like, why do you think he does that? What do you think his angle is?
He's trying to be real, man. I don't think everybody needs to stop getting upset about him being on Twitter. What he's trying to do is he's trying to go past the media that, I mean...
He's got a point. He's got a point that media does not.
If you don't agree that the media, aside from Fox News, and you can have your opinion on Fox News, but if you're talking MSNBC, CNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, you name them.
Well, and I get that part. I get why.
He's trying to go around them.
No, but I get that. What I don't like, though, and look, once again, this is like if this is a poker table and this was a football game, if this were I were a pitcher. He gets so reactive when he gets made fun of, when he gets called out. He lashes out. I look at that as a weakness. I look at you wouldn't do that when you're playing poker. You wouldn't let somebody know you got to them. In baseball,
but it's worked for
football.
him so far, hasn't it? Would you agree that? I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's backfired, but generally speaking, to this point, I would say he has more victories than losses when it comes to maybe that kind of behavior or saying these things or doing these things. Not always, but I would say the batting average is high enough to where it's. And if anything, I think it just fires up his base when he tells, a Chinese leader or an opposing Democrat or somebody basically where to stick it. There is. And there's part of people going, yeah, you'll stick it to the man, even though Trump's kind of the man, but
the thing is, like, so as a parent, though, all right, so Max Brody, let's say they're 15, 16, right, and what are you going to tell your kid basically to react to every single thing everyone says to them? Or do you want them to handle everything?
I think
you're going to say stand up for yourself.
Well, I think you're applying.
Be a motherfucking man.
But there's times though you pick and choose your battles.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I think you're applying something different. You're applying the presidency of the United States to which, many would argue is the most important job in the world, where you need the most amount of patience and perseverance and blah 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 blah. As opposed to a 15 or 16-year-old teenager where, when you compare to that, the presidency, being the president, is not the quote-unquote real world, okay? Being a teenager or being an adult working, that's the real world. So what Trump's saying, it wouldn't apply to me or you or our kids or anybody else because, A, we couldn't get away with that, and B, it doesn't apply to our everyday life. Like, we can't tell a coworker what we really think of them if we want to, or we'd be fired. Trump can say this about his cabinet. He can say it about other Democrats because he can't be fired or reprimanded the same as the average American can. So, plus, like I said, Mike, you're not voted into your position of power at your job. If you were, and you said some stuff that was on your mind, and it got more people on your side, you might go, you know what? If you're trying to set,
you can't get fired.
Yeah, but I guess for me though,
it's apples and oranges. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So this is where I look at though, is that everything that we do, there's a way of accomplishing something. There's more than one way to accomplish something, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say I'm working on my car and I want to get a bolt off, right? Now the thing is though, let's say there's two ways of getting it off, right? I can, let's say, I can get a torque wrench. I can buy the proper tools. I can get the bolt off without destroying the stem, without destroying anything next to it, without destroying my knuckles in a process. Or I can take a blowtorch and a hammer and I can bust the stem. I can bust some of the parts next to it, and my knuckles are all going to be bloody. Which way would you choose to get it off?
The simple way.
Exactly, and this
you're
is
blame the hard way on Trump.
What I look at it is and this is where I think my perspective is radically different. And just because it's my perspective is different, like I look at this show and all of our lives is like a biopsy. You do a biopsy of anything, right? You're going to get some areas that are clean, some areas are cancerous, right? Where I'm taking my biopsy of it is as a therapist, and as a therapist, and this goes well before even Trump was president, where I would say probably starting when Bush was president, when it started getting really ugly in the news, right? When Fox and I blame it's 24-hour news. It's Fox, MSNBC, CNN.
Oh yeah, I give equal blame.
So
equal to blame.
So here's what I started seeing is that for us, we can sit around here and bust each other's balls, have strong opinions, but at the end of the day, we know what's joke. We know what is fodder. We know what is hyperbole. We know what is just us going over the line just to see if we can get a reaction, right? But the thing is, and this is what scares me, and I've been speaking about this, and is that I worry about these unhinged people, that they don't know the difference between hyperbole. And I saw it in my office. I saw literally, you saw these people sitting there going, it's a call to action. And we need to do something about it. And then they got more riled up. And then this is the type of shit that's happening. Not only that, I'm seeing shit that I've never seen. I literally have parents calling me saying that I'm afraid that because we got into a fight about politics, that maybe we need to call the cops. Are going to hurt their girlfriend or are going to hurt us. I see our friend groups, our own friend groups, and across the country, people are not communicating anymore. I see us getting more distant. I see us getting.
I blame the media.
Yeah, I blame everybody.
I blame the media more than Trump. I mean, Trump doesn't do any favors per se.
Yeah.
But I do blame the media. The media has done way more.
I look at it. Everybody is using the same tactics, and the thing is, everyone is sitting there going, "Well, it works. Look at the score. Look at what we're doing." But it's like, what's the purpose of winning when there's other ways to do the same thing without having the collateral damage as a country? Because at what point do we take a step back as a country and go, yeah, what's the cost of winning? We saw it with our wrestlers in the 80s. What's the cost of getting big? They did steroids, and a lot of them are dead. We saw it with our baseball players in the 90s. They did steroids, HGH. A lot of them are dead. A lot of them have committed suicide. A lot of them have addiction, right? We've seen a lot of and that's the problem. Is that that's what I'm scared about. That's so that's my problem. That's my fear. Is that the ways that everybody's waiting to get votes, to get ratings, this is the collateral damage of it.
You want to know what the end results can. What's the end game here?
And I've been saying, and this is where, for me, I've been talking about this for 10 years, and I've been seeing it getting worse, and I'm seeing this action happen, and that's where I'm going, at what point do we have one person go, all right, you know what? There's another way to get the same result and win without doing it in the way that we are, and I know we've been able to get away with it for a while.
Okay,
at what
here's
point?
What we need to do. Here's how we unite the country, okay? Here's how we've always historically united the country. Is and I'm not saying you're going to agree with it. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but this is what would unite the country, is we need to get into another war. And I don't mean this long, dragged-out war in the Middle East where we try to bring,
we need to do more people.
That's right.
Let's go to war.
This is like the purge. We need people to die.
Listen, no. Listen to me.
I thought you were going to be the one that was going to say that. I was sitting there like, I'm my mute button.
Like, talking about bringing the country together.
You know, it's bad when it's just not even a live broadcast. I'm like, mute button. Shit. All right. You gave me a chance. All right.
I'm talking about uniting the country. I didn't say it was the best move for us. I'm talking about uniting the country. Okay?
The war.
Do you remember in the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, Desert Storm?
Yeah, we were all singing "Proud to be American" in our classroom.
Oh my God! Right?
It was comfy cozy.
This was our first skirmish, real skirmish, I should say, since Vietnam. I know we had Grenada. I know we had like little dust-ups, but this was the first war that we were going to go into. And they had talked about the comparison of Vietnam, the horrors of it, and how our soldiers had been treated, and it divided the country in half, very much like it is today. And it wasn't quite that divided, in the early 90s. Saddam invaded Kuwait in August of 1990. And very quickly, George Bush 41 came in and said, that's not going to stand. And you kind of saw that the war drums were banging, and people knew. But everybody, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, just about everybody was on board when our boys and girls went overseas to Saudi Arabia. And like you said, we were singing in class, proud to be an American. And the American flags were out. And every day that the news was pro-America and pro-military. And we were united. I mean, I'm not saying that that's necessarily the answer, but that's what it's going to take an event or something to bring. Like, basically, we're going to need to come together to fight another enemy.
But
it doesn't have to be another country.
But you got to look at 9/11. If that was going to work, 9/11 would have, and it lasted all the month.
Well, 9/11 did, but then
all the month.
I think our politicians and our media, they screwed that all up.
Well, it's like using my cancer as an example. That example is like, hey, we flushed out the cancer, but the cancer's still there, just grows a new tumor. It's like you got to actually defeat the tumor. How you defeat the tumor is that we're at war with each other in this country. We've been pitted so far apart. We've dehumanized each other. And that's why I want to talk with you boys tonight, because I feel, and I know I'm probably going to get a shit ton of fucking flack on Twitter for this, but I feel as though...
What is your Twitter handle?
It's at Gray Matters Radio. RDIO, though, because for whatever reason, Twitter doesn't let you have any more characters. That had to be RDIO,
no
Gray Matters Radio. But so this is where I think we have a problem with this country. And before I go into that little segment, just by the way, I think your solution, what it kind of reminds me of, it'd be like if we went to our wives and went, "Hey, babe, you know how we fix our marriage? Fuck other people. That will fix it right away, babe." So I'm sorry.
Wait,
so now, all right.
Hold up, real quick. What was that movie where the president's approval ratings were sagging? It was a comedy movie. The president's approval ratings were sagging, so he decided to go to war with Canada to drum up support.
Oh, wasn't it Wag the Dog or something like that?
Wag the dog.
It wasn't something like that.
That's what we need in this country. Not so much for Trump to get reelected, because I think he's going to be reelected, but to bring this country together. We need a common enemy. We want the left hates the right hates the left. We need to come together and say, you know what? We all hate this guy here.
All right, so this is going to be part one, all right? So next week we're going to finish up, but it's going to be the other side. So you better come back, all right? So here's why I want to tackle this right now. So after the shootings, all right, it's gotten pretty rough on both sides. Everyone's been kind of going back and forth, and I've been trying to get people to engage, right? And I've made some comments on Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, so they'll make a post and I'll make a post and I'll try to get some conversation going, right? And I keep hearing all this terminology of, it's like, and it's on both sides, because we're going to do next week, I'll do the Democratic side, but for this week, hey, I want to make sure the Trump supporter has their voice.
Sure.
But I've been hearing a lot well, we can't give any ground on this. We have to get every seat. We have to get this. We have to do that. I'm like, guys, this ain't like a war where we have to gain the high ground, right? And it's
it almost is, because nobody in Congress will work with each other.
No, not at all.
So
right.
If you don't get all the seats,
well, and so my point was, one, I made points about Elizabeth Warren. Her solution can't be to, well, I'm going to pass this, I'm going to end this filibuster. I go, but then what happens if it gets flipped around? I go, that's not a permanent solution. Her solution requires passing this bill, which passes this bill, which passes that bill, which I can then pass my bill. I'm like, you can't even pass a bill right now to declare toilet paper, the national toilet paper butt wiping in America, right? You can't. Nothing can pass right now, right? And I go, it's unrealistic. And on top of that, at what point, maybe if you want to win, try to understand a Trump voter rather than writing him off. Try to understand that middle ground, because I do think 30% of the Trump voter is a hardcore conservative voter that would never vote for a Democrat. But there's too many people that I knew that either were lifetime independents or lifetime Democrats that voted for him that still support Trump. And it's like, why are you not attempting to go after them and understand them? And if anything, in my opinion, everything they're doing is the complete opposite of what they need to be doing. So I figure obviously they're paying, they paid these political consultants as one of the number one expenditures in a campaign. Mm-hmm. So obviously their people aren't telling them the right thing. So hopefully they will listen to our show, and I'm going to give them a blueprint. If you want to understand a Trump voter and talk to them, not from a we're going to win perspective, but even if you don't win, you're still in the Senate or Congress. Let's talk to people. Let's reach across the aisle so we can actually come up with legislation that is middle of the road, and we make it to where, instead of with our kids, if there's ways of talking to my daughter where she's either going to dig her heels in, I'm going to get less, or there's a way of kind of understanding, like, how do I talk with her and make her want to work with me, right? So I'm going to start with you, Stelz, all right? So number one, what was it about Trump, that you liked? What is it, what he said, what resonates with you? And start with that one.
He gets right to the point. He's anti-establishment. I feel like that, like, a lot of your support for the left comes from your actors and pop stars and.
It's not very realistic in your mind.
Wait, you mean we shouldn't be listening to Ariana Grande?
Right. Those people think they're high and mighty.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that that my team, if you will.
So basically, and I want to make sure I'm hearing you right. So I'm going to make sure, because this is important, because I want to make sure. So it just like you have maybe Democrats going, well, your big oil barons, your Kochs that don't have any clue about what it's like for the regular person. You're going, dude, what's the difference between them and then celebrities who live in an enclave where even when the economy's shitty, they're still making money because of their profession? Is that pretty damn accurate? So there's no difference at all between it.
No, it's pretty damn accurate.
So you don't like that. What else did you like about Trump that obviously he cut through that?
He cuts through the bullshit, man. He does what he I don't know how far you can go back, but how many presidents do you know that really, he's done what he said he was going to do.
So, and so you're going to have a lot of Democrats going, well, okay, he didn't build the wall. He hasn't done, Well,
that's only because they're idiot Democrats like Nancy Pelosi prevented him from doing that, so.
Now, I'm gonna be faux Democrat. A faux Democrat.
Why would you?
A faux Democrat. Yeah. So a faux Democrat. Hold on. So
as a Jewish American, he supports Israel.
Yeah.
Moved Jerusalem, made them. Why do you support the other side?
I don't. I didn't vote. I didn't vote for him.
No, Obama said he was going to move Jerusalem too.
That's the thing.
He never. Or was it Bush?
Not move Jerusalem, but make Jerusalem.
He was going to make it the capital.
I haven't voted. I don't remember the last time I even voted Democrat.
All right.
It's been like probably over 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Then I'm fucking proud of you. But you seem to lean
and the thing is, like, I'm legit. The thing is, like, I'm picture me like a marital counselor. I don't have a side, husband and wife. I'm legitimately kind of understanding because
come on, Mike. When you're listening to husband and wives, you secretly take a side.
Honestly,
you're like, man, that's really messed up. You don't say it out loud, but
you gotta look at that's why we go through so much training. Is like, listen, like, I really could give two shits. What I give a shit about is the objective. My objective is to make this thing work.
Would you not agree, as far as an honesty standpoint, Trump, he came out, he said he was going to do X, Y, and Z, and he's at least tried. Now, he may not have accomplished everything, but as a president, you got to go through certain channels.
I look at
if those channels deny you
he's running into the same problem that. So you got to look at when Bush was president, the Republicans obstructed. When Obama was president, the Republicans obstructed. It don't matter who's president right now. The minority party is going to obstruct it. No president can get any meaningful legislation in right now because of the polarization.
But you don't think?
I think
Trump
it's equal.
Has been closer to his.
I think it's. You know what? I don't think any of his things had a chance of passing because of how much polarization there is. And every president, it's going to get worse. And that's the thing. When people are going to Trump, going, he has so much obstruction, it's worse than the previous president. I agree. But then I think it's also to say that if a Democrat gets elected, it'll be worse for them.
Let me ask you this. Let's get off Trump.
Yeah.
Antifa.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion?
I think they're the polar opposite of like the Proud Boys and the far right. I think they're every bit as bad as the far right organizations.
I love that they call themselves the anti-fascists, and yet they employ fascists.
Fascists kind of, yeah. I know they're.
If you don't agree with us, we're going to beat the crap out of you.
They're the flip side of the coin. I vehemently disagree with any radical organization, right or left. I don't agree with them in any way, shape, or form. I don't agree with any far left or far right principles. But this is what scares me. We can't get anything. No president can get anything done, and that's when I was talking about what is the net effect of winning an election. If the way that the election has to be won because the environment is so ugly on both sides that you're basically the walking wounded and you push everyone further apart and you make everyone hate each other worse, you can't even give anyone. And that's my whole point of like, at whose responsibility? I look at it's the president who I don't care if it would have been a Democrat. I look at it, at what point do we sit there and go, it's not about winning an election anymore. It's about governing, and there is no governing. And how can we win an election? How can we find ways to get elected when the only way of getting elected makes it impossible to govern. What's the point of winning? It almost makes you think.
It's a quagmire.
Yeah, and they have to be smart enough to realize that. And is that really, to me, it might be conspiratorial. Everyone goes a deep state as a party or not. To me, if there really is a deep state, their perfect plan is to make it to where we're so busy chasing our tails, nothing gets done.
You don't think at all there's a deep state?
Oh yeah, I just don't think it's a deep state that a lot of people think.
Really?
I think.
You don't think Obama's?
I think from the
time.
No, dude. I think from the time that Kennedy got capped, man. Is that's the real deep state. You gotta look at, man. You gotta go way back when Eisenhower left
Carter
office.
Page doesn't scare you,
dude. Dude, I have so many things that scare me worse than that, man. I mean, like, this is the thing, like, and there's a lot of things you guys don't know about me. The reason why I know a lot about this is that all I can say is when I was in graduate school, I may or may not have interviewed and almost taken a position with a certain government entity. So when I'm telling you, I know a lot about these things. Like, dude, you got to go back.
Was it the Russians?
You have to go back to at the end when Eisenhower left office. He literally, on his exit address, imagine any of our presidents going, he goes,
by the way, watch out for this.
Yeah, he goes, beware of the growing power of the military-industrial complex. This is a former sitting, 3-4-star general telling us to be wary of the businesses. And the thing is, you got to look at, Kennedy got capped mysteriously after he went against what all the generals and all the military folks wanted to do, which is get out of Vietnam.
He wanted to break up the CIA.
He wanted to break up the CIA. He screwed the CIA. He pulled the air support in the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Bay of Pigs, there you
He
go.
pulled the air support, which is why the Bay of Pigs invasion did not work. And he got killed in the city where the biggest military-industrial complex is.
Right.
And then after that, when Lyndon Johnson, who was a Dallas boy or a Texas boy, then mysteriously went the complete opposite direction. That, to me, is the beginning of a lot of it, right? And so when you're talking about the deep state isn't Republican Democrat. The deep state is something to where you don't even know they're there. And whatever theories that are out there, it is not at all what any of you guys think that it is. That's what's scary about it. And so we can chase our tails about it. You want to know why every president ages fucking 20 years? And because they realize from the time that they get in office, it's like, motherfucker. Like, they realize how fucked they are, right? That's the truth of it. And
do you think that, like, though, of all the presidents, like, can't you see Trump, like, on his farewell address, or not even it has to be his farewell address, but I can see Trump getting up there and go, you know why this didn't work out, or why this, because of the deep state and because of the CIA or because whoever told me that they weren't going to do this, and the secret government, and people go, yeah, that's right, we knew it. I can totally see Trump just trying to blow the lid off.
I mean, also, yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of his
whether it's true or not.
Wait. What do you mean it didn't work out? Why?
I'm just saying for argument's sake.
Had the numbers not been good, everybody
want
him to have a good presidency.
Hey,
has he not done okay?
Unemployment is the lowest it's been in like 50 years.
Hey,
that's what I'm upset about.
I go back to my
Madonna. All these stupid liberals think they've got it all fucking figured out. They say he hadn't done that good. His fucking numbers are phenomenal. Let's everybody shut the fuck up and realize the fact that he's done a good job. Not to get on you, Mike D, but goddamn it,
I'm here.
Let's fucking knock this shit off.
You're on video.
Knock it off. Unemployment's 2.5% in a lot of the fucking states in this country right now.
I think Stelzer.
The man has done a great goddamn job. If you don't agree with him, so fucking be it. But calling everybody that racist just because they don't support Hillary Clinton killing Jeffrey Epstein, this is fucking bullshit. Now, goddamn it!
Do you need some Xanax?
No, but Jesus Christ, it's gotten out of hand. It has gotten out of hand.
But no,
somebody needs to step up and fucking say it.
All right, we're gonna.
What do you want to fucking say?
I'm gonna say actually.
Let's go to the phone. Let's take a caller.
Shit.
Yeah. So this is
Let's
actually
stop.
what I think.
Let's knock it off. This is why you brought me here.
Yeah, this is
everybody
a problem,
knock
though.
the shit off. The man has done a fine
No.
job.
I'm actually gonna agree with you.
Jesus
all right?
Christ!
I'm actually
I know you are.
I'm gonna agree with you.
I don't find you an unintelligent person.
I know. But this is a problem that was that
it's unbelievable.
There is so much hatred, and I think
because they thought they were going to win the goddamn election.
Well,
they
yeah,
got their asses smoked.
Let's
fucking knock it off.
But this is where it's about our country.
Something I've ever seen.
So I know our country is so divided, and that our country is so divided right now that if your side loses, you can't really get behind it, and then you can't give. Instead of it being about, hey, listen, you may not like the guy, but at least get behind him and at least give somebody credit what's credit due, because by going after Trump and hating him so bad, you are fucking America, right? And regardless of who did what to whom and first what
I'm not trying to blow up the
no.
fucking ridiculous.
But you're right though, and I think this is, and I'm glad you did bring that because it's authentic and it's real, and this is what a lot of people are feeling. And it's like it doesn't have to be this way, and
that's all root for the same goddamn team.
And this is where now
everybody's all butthurt because Hillary didn't win.
So now, but this
Hillary.
is now
she was corrupt.
So
the
now,
most qualified candidate.
So this is where I do think though.
Can the fucking camera see me jerking that fucking shit off?
Now the thing is, and this is where I look at it though, is that we
fucking
all can
ridiculous.
Agree that. Even if Trump is going to elect, even if Trump wins a second term, and you have let's say you have another.
If he doesn't, we're all fucked.
Now let's say you have another Republican.
Seriously, our economy will go to the fucking.
But this is where I think it's important though, where we have to stop the trajectory we're on, because you're right. Just like we all need to get behind the president, regardless if there's an R or a D after their name.
Who would root for the fucking pilot to
we should, because to not give Trump credit that hey, the economy is really
Bill Maher
good.
Would.
Because let's say there's things like with me.
A couple of dumb
well, I think because you see where I come out going, hey, listen, I agree with a lot of what he says. Like I do some things differently, right? And I think though, if we had a civil discord in this country, we'd be able to go, hey, listen, I think you're doing that awesome, right? But hey, listen, man, I think you can do that a little bit differently. I think you don't have to do it like that. Okay. You're right. It'd be like, dude, you're right. Okay, but the problem is though, because everyone is so attacking, Trump, and I think as a Trump supporter, you're going, dude, you're not just attacking me, you're attacking the country, and it's asinine, right? It's what is the point of being that obstruct, right?
Yeah.
So now, you know what you need is you need one of those moments where Kim Jong-un crossed over the 38th parallel into South Korea. And he crossed over and said, basically, hands out, shake my hand, give me a hug, big smile, let's be friends. But what I'm saying is that's essentially what it's going to take from whether it be Trump or the high-ranking Democrat or just someone to say, you know what, President Trump or you know what, Speaker of the House, let's just put it behind us. Let's work together. Like that's what it's going to take, because then it would trickle down to the rest of America. Maybe is that going to happen? Not when there's elections.
Now I want to have that discussion. All right. So this is what I look at going. I think. Because I look once again when it's a family, I always look at, hey, listen, I don't give a fuck who did what to whom, who did it worse. What I do care about is an objective, and regardless of how we got here, whose fault it was, we have a place where we need to go, and we all need to figure out what we need to kind of get back to that, right? And this is where I think as a country, because everyone hates each other so much, we keep going way back and forth and just pointing the finger and so angry at each other, and it's like someone has to sit here and go, all right. For the next president, for the president after that, for the president after that, it's escalating and getting worse. Because you got to look at it scary. Because let's say Trump doesn't win. Imagine how bad it's going to be for Democrats. Even if Trump wins a second term, how bad is that second term? Even if another Republican wins it, it's going to be so bad to where it's like, if this were a family, if this were a business.
I think Trump will win.
He'll win.
Hold on.
I don't know why he would want to run.
Hold on for a
because
second.
there's so much shit.
But I want to get on that. Because that one, I want to get on. What I want to get on, though, is that what needs to happen with our elected leaders? I'm talking our Republicans and Democrats, both leaders. We're talking about our president. Everybody, what do you think each person needs to do to reverse this cycle that we're in and get it to where, because we're the parents in a room. That's what our elected officials are. Their job isn't to tell us what we want to hear. Their job is to tell us what we need to hear, right? And if you're not going to be there for the right reasons, to me as a politician, the litmus test is, are you willing to make the right decision that's best for the country at the expense of your own seat, at the expense of your own parties, right? And so I think that's where we're not at, right? We're not there right now. And so I want to know, so actually I'm going to go with Bill, right? So if that's the approach we're going to take, is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who, if the litmus test is, are you willing to do what's necessary to help the country, even if you're going to lose your seat in your election in your party? What do you think our elected officials need to do? I'm talking all of them, all the Congress, their leaders. What do you think they need to do, Bill? You're first. Stelzer, we'll go with you then.
What do they need to do? I don't know what they need to do. I mean, it's a loaded question because there's too much money in politics. And at the end of the day, that's why everyone's clinging and clutching to their spot and going far and farther left and farther right, because that's what their constituents and their main supporters kind of want, and they know that. So when there's so much money involved, and I don't know how we can get away from that. without making some radical changes, and that's just not going to happen. So until that happens, there's too much money, too much power, too much influence, whatever you want to call it. So, guys, it's not going to happen. I hate to say that we're fucked, but let's be honest here. You have to find a person that isn't interested in money. And
he's as close as you're going to get because he doesn't need money.
Which is why I think people like him. That doesn't give a fuck.
Well, not only do you have to find someone that's not interested in money, you have to find someone that is also electable.
He's still pulled.
They have to have good ideas, and people have to.
Well, he's very electable. Obviously, he's done a great job.
Well, I'm talking about in general, like in general. If we're talking about someone, not Trump and not from the current crop of Democrats, you're talking about someone that can really unite the people. There's too much money. It almost reminds me of like how the NCAA basketball is right now. Man, that is just so dirty and so corrupted with money.
Did you hear that interview on CNN? I believe it was Senator Buck, I want to say. He was saying Buck, I believe. I probably have it totally wrong. I have to go back. I was supposed to look it up before the show, and I totally forgot. But,
damn it.
But he was saying, he goes to pass legislation, okay? He goes across the aisle, right? You have to procure relationships, you have to craft a bill, you have to bounce it back and forth you have to make friends on the other side, right? And it takes work, right?
Kiss babies, you gotta give,
no, he goes, not even that,
hand jobs, the other side in the bathroom, you got,
No, we're talking legitimate here, right?
I know, but that's basically what it is.
But no, he goes, that's taking the negative route. I'm talking like a positive route, like actually like working with each other, right? And he goes, it's impossible. You know why? Because 95% of our time we're fundraising. He goes, we don't have time to do that. We don't even have time, he goes, to read bills that are given to us. He goes, literally, because the animosity on both sides is so bad, he goes, we could have a 1,600-page bill and be given 7 hours to read it. And we have to make a decision on this life-altering bill, and 9 times out of 10, 80% of it is either bullshit or stuffed with
we
pork.
Have to pass it so we can know what's in it.
Yeah, and he said, and he straight up said, he goes,
who said that? Remember?
Yeah, and he goes straight up. He goes. The people that you're raising money for, he goes, they expect you to vote the way that's why they're giving you the fucking money. He goes, that's why it is legal corruption. It is legal bribery.
Oh, it is legal bribery.
That's why. And that's what you're getting at, Bill. So then,
point that finger at me.
But here's the deal though, right? So we all know that's true, which means then any solution has to address that. And we have to address the fact that they are not willingly going to want to change the rules. So, I mean, Stel, so how do you address that? I mean, so you have a president who basically doesn't give a fuck, in a good way, not in a bad way.
Right.
He doesn't have the vested interest of, well, I'm trying to, when I get done at the presidency, I'm going to go on my book speaking tour. He doesn't have to worry about that. He already has he has 30% of the country that go to fucking war for him, right? So you have a guy that literally is thinking about, like, what does he have to do to be the parent in the room going, all right, guys, like, you know what? Because let's be honest, he would have run as a Democrat, would have been vice versa. He was going to run as a Democrat.
Oh, absolutely.
He tried going after Jesse the Body to run in 2000. This is the guy that he is a moderate dude. He's smart. He strategically picked the time to do it. So what is he had? If anybody that has the ability to do it, it's him. So what does he have to do to reverse the course of animosity? And do you feel like he's doing that right now?
I don't know if he can.
I agree. Why not?
Well, to fire up his base, it takes.
He's fucked.
What he's doing.
Yeah. That was
I mean, that goes for any candidate, not just him.
And I'm glad to hear you admit that. I mean, give me some love, because I think that was the Bannon plan. The Bannon plan was, dude.
The other,
but you have to stick with it though.
Hey, fuck Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't win without fuck Trump.
Yeah.
I mean.
So how's he? But the thing is though, can he lose part of that base, but then gain more by kind of going, all right, guys, here's the truth. Like, this is bad.
But don't you think
he could.
Yeah, don't you think they have people out there that are doing polls and that are doing research and saying, well, Mr. President, here's what's going to work and here's what you need to say. And I think they all know, all the politicians.
He's not getting back the moderates that hate him. That's the problem. And I think is what Stelzer's getting at, he can't lose any of his base. And if he compromises, it's a gamble of him. But the thing is, though, if that's what's best for the country, if that's the litmus test, technically speaking, isn't that what's best for the country?
Maybe he doesn't think that's what's best for the country, though.
But do we think that's best for the country? That's what's important. Do we think that's best for the country for I'm talking Pelosi, Schumer, McConnell all stand side to side with Trump going, listen, guys, we've been completely condoning and running things in a way where it is mainly about the special interest, and it's not like we intended for it to happen, but it just happened. We got caught up in about winning, and the reality is that we've pushed everything in such a bad way. We don't like what we see, so we are all going to make a pledge. If Grover Nordquist, remember Grover Nordquist?
No.
Grover Norquist, during Bush presidency, he was he ran a think tank, a conservative
Bush
think
43?
tank.
Bush 41?
W. And so he basically made every single Republican pledge, you will never raise a single tax. You can't offset anything. It's just you straight cannot raise a tax. He made every single one of them sign it. So if any one of them signed on to raising taxes, to raising any budgetary spending, he called them all for it, and they all lost, right? So why can't we do the same thing, but with this? Make everyone sign a pledge to go, I'm not going to use rhetoric. I'm not going to use divisive. I'm just going to talk about what I believe and what I think is best.
When you say rhetoric and divisiveness, like, why are you so... You and your people, honestly.
Who are my people?
Independents? Anti-Trump people.
I'm not anti-Trump. I'm just I'm anti-politicians. I hate all of them.
I've never heard the word rhetoric with anybody else but Trump. That's just because he says, hey, we can't have an illegal immigrant. I mean, do
rhetoric,
you guys not understand the definition of an illegal immigrant?
So no,
you call them undocumented.
So no, rhetoric. So no, I don't consider that. No. I don't.
Get the fuck out of here.
So I'll set this.
Not you personally.
Yeah, I consider rhetoric. I consider rhetoric and polarization is when we use language, us versus. No, not that one. No, I'm not even agree with that.
I'm talking about your people.
No. I don't care about that one. What I do care about is when we're to get elected, we're using this us versus them mentality. If you elect them, the world's going to come to an end. They're going to take your guns. They're going to do this. That, to me...
Take your guns. That's your people are doing that more.
But who's my people? I'm not a liberal. Why do I get lopped in with it? I have a gun. I'm a gun owner.
You get lopped in?
Mike will shoot you on the air if he has to. If that gets some ratings.
But this is the problem, though, is that I don't think liberals want to take away guns. But the thing is, I talked to a bunch of...
You don't think they would sweep through guns?
No, you're not taking away the Second Amendment. It's pointless. It's not going to happen. Okay. Do I believe there needs to be sensible guns? Yes.
Now, Biden did say last week that he said no amendment was absolute when referring to the Second Amendment. Why would he say that? Why would you say that when you're trying to Biden's... Oh, my God.
I think Biden...
I saw that and I went...
Biden ain't going to win the nomination. I'm telling you right now. He ain't winning the nomination.
I can't believe he actually said that. Like,
he's stupid. He's a moron. It's just like... It's kind of like AOC... When if you talk about the number one reason why conservatives don't want to do anything with climate change, because they really feel as though it's a secret government takeover of everything, right? And they're just using climate change, right? So what does AOC do in her Green New Deal? Her Green New Deal is to, hey, we're going to change the entire wealth distribution to deal with climate change. Like, you literally just reinforced that belief, and it's like you don't have to do anything with climate change because
get rid of the farting cows.
I mean. Because climate change is scary, man. If anyone's out there in nature and you're seeing the shit that's happening, I mean, fuck you. Here in Ohio, we're going to lose 95% of all of our ash trees. Have you looked at all the dead trees everywhere? I mean, it's scary, right?
I got one in my front yard.
But this is the problem where I don't give a shit about. I'm cool if we disagree. See, I don't care. I'm glad if we disagree. I don't care, but I don't think because a conservative disagrees with me, they're a bad person. I don't think they're the enemy. I don't think that they're literally about making everything negative. You know, I really don't. But what I do care about is, can we disagree and realize we are in an arranged marriage? In a marriage where we actually pick the person that we marry, we have to compromise. We have to find middle ground. Literally, in our country, it's an arranged marriage. We don't even get to pick the people that we have to work with. And for whatever reason, we basically felt as though it's like, well, my goal is to win every single seat. And it's like winner take all. And that's the only way that we're going to govern. And it's like, you're the enemy. I don't think Republicans are the enemy. I don't think Democrats are the enemy. The only people that are the enemy are the people that are making us think we're the enemy, because it dehumanizes us and it makes you feel as though like how Ryan. And that's how and that's where like you're like, Mike, I'm sorry for no, dude. I wanted you to show that emotion because that's how America feels. And the problem is we're taking it out on each other. We're taking it out each other at the customer service stand. We're taking it out with each other everywhere. And it's
my emotion was purely based on the fact that I can't stand the fact that the party that you typically support. I know you're not like
and not remember they haven't got my vote in 12 years.
Typically haven't. Okay, well then you're smarter than I thought.
Probably more than that. Yeah.
But the Democratic Party, you would agree, if they don't have the race card, they don't have shit. They just throw that race card.
They do play that race card a lot. I
They
mean,
throw that
and there's
fucking
nothing wrong with calling out
there's-
racism. I think we should
No,
call
I'm
out
not
racism.
a fan of racism, but
No, I'm talking about when
Hold on.
someone is
No,
racist.
hold
we should
on.
definitely call
Hold
it
on.
out.
I'm gonna steer us back to the
It's a
because
crime.
I'm gonna
Okay.
steer us back. I'm gonna steer us back into like
Reel it back in, Divine.
I'm gonna reel it back in because this is where it's like no American should feel how you feel right now. Because each side, I think, feels so strongly because no one's being heard. Everyone feels that each other is the enemy. We're taking on each other. I mean, dude, like we were at
we're all the
Walmart
same
this.
team.
Dude, we are at Walmart this weekend, and we just saw this poor lady just getting berated by these people, right? And my wife and I were like, dude, listen, don't let that get to you. These people, and it's like this is what I hate as a clinician, as an American. We're so angry and we're taking it out on each other. We're not the enemy. We're all Americans, and I believe our media and our politicians are to get elected. They're turning us against each other, and it's what is the point?
I would agree with that.
We have to. And I don't give a fuck if Democrats had 90% of the seats. I don't care if it was vice versa. We are all in this together, and our system has turned America against each other, which is, to me, the biggest tragedy. And to me, it is our biggest threat to national security. It's the biggest threat to our existential existence of America, and we need somebody to step up and do it. So if it was me, so if I were the president, all right, and I'm going to end on this one, all right?
Oh, geez.
All right. If I were president, you know what I would do? So if I were Trump, I would come out tomorrow, and I'm talking Oval Office, and I would have Chuck. And Nancy and Mitch McConnell and who's the minority leader of the Republicans? Is it not Nunez? Is it Nunez?
Yeah,
No, he's the Senate. He's a Senate majority leader.
Moscow
Pelosi
Mitch.
is the majority leader, but there's the minority because like Schumer's the minority leader of the Democrats. So anyhow, I would have them all of us stand side by side and go, listen, guys. I'm the president, and regardless of the who, what, where, when, and why, the buck does stop here. And I don't give a shit what's happened up to this point, what's going to happen after this, because we have been turned on each other. I play a role. Everyone here plays a role. The media plays a role. And it's not about pointing the finger who plays more of the role. All I care about is from this moment on forward about being part of the solution and doing what's best for this country. And so from this point on forward, me and all these people, I'm going to take a pledge where, you know what, I'm not going to, now I'm going to hold everyone accountable. I'm going to talk tough. I'm going to argue for what I believe. I'm going to talk facts, but I'm not going to sit there and go, you're un-American. I'm not going to sit there and go, you're trying to take the country down. You're going to be the end of us all. I'm not going to say any of that. I'm going to talk facts. I'm going to talk fair. I'm going to be tough, and I'm going to fight what I believe. And I'm going to make my best effort to try to compromise. And I think we have to.
So they're not going to sling mud, is what you're saying.
Exactly. I'm going to make a pledge to do that. I'm going to challenge everyone in my party to do that, and I'm going to challenge them to do it. They can do whatever they want. They can sit there and draw pictures of me, shoot me with BB guns, whatever. And the fact of the matter is, I am not going to take the bait. And the thing is, I believe as an American that we all should do our part. Everyone here tomorrow, everyone needs to start treating each other with respect as we have to, even if we hate each other, even if we disagree with each other, even if you do have beliefs that a lot of us don't hold, that we find morally reprehensible. We are here together, just like as a planet. We are all stuck with each other, and we have to realize that this is driving the car off the cliff, and what is the point? We can sit there and go, I'm right, you're right, I'm right. But if one of us doesn't take control of the car and realize that we're going over the cliff, we'll all go over the cliff. And right before we die, I'll be the last one to point the finger. It's your fault and win. And that's where we're going. And that's what I would do as president. And that's what I want Trump to do. That's what I want somebody to take the step and do that. Because if not,
wouldn't you agree though?
You got the wrong guy. Trump's got too much.
But don't you think though, if he's going to do that, if he would do that, it would be after he gets reelected. Once he gets reelected, and I mean, I remember when we heard
yeah.
Well, I remember when we heard Obama
I'm
talking
scared.
with
This election is going
Putin.
to scare the shit out of me, man. Because this election, we're already being pushed. I worry that I think it needs to happen now because it will. I think he probably
unless
will.
the economy takes a complete crap, which could happen under any president, any time.
But the economy would have to take a shit.
The economy, I think, is the key. Is the economy still strong, and there's nothing major going on with Trump?
It would take.
Let's talk about Bill Maher. Who roots for the economy to take a shit?
Honestly, but he's a
rich asshole.
This is a problem, though. But it's when we hate the other side so bad that
they're going to root for their own.
Yeah,
he's a rich asshole who's out of touch.
But that's
with
the problem,
reality.
and that's what my whole point is, that we can get so lost in the weeds and get sidetracked. But it's like we take going, it's gotten that bad.
Yeah,
in regards to who started.
Root against yourself, kind of.
In regards to who started, because you ask anyone, they're going to go, well, you have to go to this date. Well, you have to go to that date. It's like the Bloods and the Crips. Well, you took out 2 of our guys. Well, you took out 4 of our guys before that. Well, you took out 5 of our guys. Well, you stole our stash here. It's never ending.
The Bloods and the Crips.
Yeah, it is never ending. And like, I don't give a fuck who started it. And the thing is, why I think Trump does need to do it now. And if it makes him lose the election, so be it. Because what's going to happen, I'm calling it now. If this election is where it's at now, dude, we're at what, a year and a half away. We don't even know who the Democrats are even going to nominate.
If he wins again, they're going to shit themselves.
They are going to win. But here's the problem, though, is that I believe that if we keep going in the route that we are, and I think the election is going to be ugly, I worry that the country will be irrevocably broken. That when we have like these because like how you feel, you're hinged, okay? You're angry, you're frustrated. And just like on the other side, there's that. But you're going to get that 1% that is going to take action. That's what scares the crap out of me. Because what happens when you get 2.5 million people, instead of saying to go to Area 51, what they go, we're going to storm the White House.
Again with Area 51.
That's what scares me. Or if a Democrat wins, and if they feel as though Trump lost because of those cheating in a deep state, it's going to be the other side. Sure. That's what we're playing with here, and it's dangerous and scary. Somebody needs to step up and stop it, and it's and
can it be stopped though?
Well, and that's where I look at if we can't trust our officials. I think what we've all agreed is the mainstream media on both sides has.
Well, you're not going to get a fair shake from them, no matter where you go to.
But this is where I think, as Americans, though, they cease to exist if no one watches them. And so if Americans were, we're fucking done with this. Imagine if like 30 million people stopped watching Fox and CNN.
What would I watch?
Well, think about it. But think about, though, imagine the power that the American electorate would have to go on 30 million people. You lose all of them. I mean, think about how many like people did some of these people, like your Laura Ingrams, and what was the guy on MSNBC?
Sean Hannity,
I can't remember who was on the other side, where they said something stupid and they lost like 5 sponsors and it got booted off the air. I mean, look at Bill O'Reilly. I mean, you look at Alex Jones. I mean, you look at the power of it. People stop watching, you're fucked, right? So imagine if the people all went on both sides going, we're not going to watch you guys anymore if you keep doing this shit. That's how you change shit tomorrow. But that's the thing. The American people are looking to our elected officials to make the change, but we have all the power in our own backyard to do it. If Colin Kaepernick can get Nike in 2 days to stop selling a shoe because the fear of the backlash, imagine that is the power that
What's your opinion on that?
I don't know.
We've talked about it on the show.
I mean, my thought is that, this is where it's tough, because if you're of a certain race or a certain religion, and if majority of you think somebody's saying something that is racist, well, then it's like, okay, but
he's not a good
hold on. But
he's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback.
But the thing is, think about though, as a Trump supporter, there's a lot of things that the other side is saying. Like, dude, I find that a fucking offensive. That's un-American, and they can sit there and go, well, you guys are being fucking overly sensitive. You did this to us, but this is what's wrong in the country. It's, well, you did this where you're being a pussy about this. It's like, all right, fuck it. All right. We all feel like we're all butthurt about something. All right. I don't give a fuck about who did it first, who feels like it's worse, I don't care. All I care about is it has to stop. And because it has to stop, we have to hold them accountable. And so I look at, if we can't trust our elected officials to do it, we can make them stop doing it. If we were to look at all the donors that support the politicians that are doing this the worst, and we were to take a 30, 40, 50 million strong group of people to go, we're not going to shop at any of your stores, we're not going to watch any of your shows, we're not going to go to any of your websites if you continue to give money to this person, or you don't put pressure on them to pass legislation that's actually common sense and better for America. I don't give a fuck if you think the other side is completely batshit crazy. Guess what? We're stuck with each other. We are stuck on this on this rock with each other. We don't have a choice. And it's like, we don't have divorce. Divorce is not an option, right? We have to make it work. And that's what I'm imploring everyone to do. And that's where I love your passion, my man. But no American should feel how you feel. Just like on the other side, no one should feel the way they do. And we got to stop taking it out of each other, because it's fucked up. It's wrong. No American, we should not feel this way. And it is the most un-American thing to continue it going. And our elected officials have to step up, and a litmus test needs to be, okay, I might not get elected, but it's the right thing to do. But that's why we do this show, because we have to have these tough conversations, because anywhere else it's going to descend into chaos. This is a place where we can have it. This is a place where everyone can listen to it and have that same conversation to show that we can have that passion, but then we can feel heard and going, okay, I'm angry, but at least I feel heard and I'm not going to overstep that line. And even in the moments of being angry, we can still agree on so many things and all agree, you're right, we have to do different, regardless of whose fault it is. When we take that off the table, who cares whose fault it is, we can have, like, you're right, we need to change. And that's the only thing that matters. All right. So,
Mikey, I love you, man.
I love you guys too, man. This is a conversation that is happening across our country, but this is the conversation we can all walk away with. I mean, we all have differing viewpoints, and I think there's areas that we agree, there's areas we disagree, but we all love each other. We're all boys. We all have been friends for way too long. We all respect each other. We can disagree. This is what it needs to be like out there. No name calling, no nothing. We can get passionate and angry.
But those are strangers. I mean,
but it's with strangers we have to do it the most, because these are the people that are making laws that affect every one of us. It's not an explanation of, well, it's tough. You're right, it's fucking tough. That's why that's what you're supposed to do. That's why you're supposed to want the job. It is tough. We didn't ask you to do it. You volunteered for it. And so you have to go there going, you're right, it's tough, but you have to do it. And if that means you're only going to be there 2 years, well, then make your impact for 2 years and go back into your private sector. Continue to make that change. And that's what I don't give a fuck about. I don't care if it's fucking tough. I don't care if you lose. I don't care if it's going to take money. You want the job, you fucking go in there, you do what's best for America. You're probably going to be there for a year or two. You know?
Damn right.
Fucking A.
America.
First time I've agreed with Mike Dean in a long time.
America fucking... That's what America first means, guys.
Can we stand up and sing the anthem?
No.
Okay. How about we just say
something patriotic?
How about we just say
you actually want a really good anthem?
How about we just say the Pledge of Allegiance?
I got a really good anthem. You want to hear it?
No.
Oh yeah.
The finisher.
On that note,
everyone. Bill, my man, thank you for being my wingman.
You're welcome.
Stel, thank you for the passion, brother. I love it, man. That's more American than anything, man. And
soon we're going to go out to the people, and we're going to talk to some people.
We are. Yeah. So everybody.
Can't wait for that.
I know, man. It's going to be awesome, you know. So myself, Michael Devine, Armchair QB, Bill Reed. Get him at armchairqb.net. Get him on the...
.org.
That's right. Yeah, .org, you know.
Check us out on Facebook.
On Facebook.
The Book of Face.
The Book of Face. Stelzer, my man, thanks so much, man.
Yep, absolutely.
And of course, on behalf of myself and the newly rebranded 614 Radio Network, because that's how we do it in the 614. We bring it all day like this.
Network.
That's right, 614, baby.
He's impressed.
I know, he is, man. 614 Radio Network, baby. All right, everyone. And remember, next time someone asks you, you Democrat, you Republican, you red, you blue, say, fuck that
I'm a
noise.
Republican.
That's right. But I'm going to say, fuck that noise. My ass is gray. All right, everyone. You be good to each other. We'll see you next week. Peace.